let's go ahead and get into some awing swings now. So I'm going to go ahead and do a training swing, just the basic one. Again, there's all different variables in training swings. There's 12 biomechanical features in the golf swing. Each of them has 3 options. So you need to perform your specific training swing instead of trying to copy what I'm doing right now. I'm just picking a random one here and just showing you how it works. So I go ahead and get set up and start my ah. As I went back that time, I felt some inflections in the ah. Now, I was actually performing a pattern that is different than the one that my body owns. And I could feel the inflections moving in that ah. The key would be, at each point, for me to stop and say, okay, how can I improve that? So if I go ahead and get set up, when I hit the end of that hinge action, I felt some stress in my chest in the ah. So I know that that hinge action moved in a wrong direction for me. If I start over again, by moving in a more diagonal hinge direction from horizontal, I found that my ah was perfectly relaxed. It never changed the depth of the ah, and there were 0 inflections in there. So I learned over time that my best hinge action is somewhere between diagonal and horizontal. I call it horizontal under for that matter. I'm an under golfer, and it's horizontal to some degree, but it's also diagonal. The diagonal part gets me, in the under position, and then I have to move slightly towards horizontal to make that work for me. So again, I get set up. If I move in the horizontal direction again, you can hear right at the end, now that it got me, right at the end I tensed up. So again, you want to find out which hinge action works for you as you begin your training swing. So here we go. Alright, in the second part of the training swing, I just made a side-on action, moving my right elbow to the side of my body. I'm an under golfer. So if I move in the wrong direction, again, we can hear tension in my ah. So I want to learn to move in such a way that eliminates that. So I go ahead, I get set up, get my hinge action going. So we saw that time, since my elbow was already in position in front of my body, there was no need for me to move it to the side or back. Non-top golfers have to move that elbow back. Side-on golfers move the elbow to the side. Under golfers keep that elbow in front. So my right elbow was already in position. What that allowed me to do is simply create my swivel action from my center. So everything rotated from the center of gravity as I started back. Let's look at that again. I was able to do that without any tension in the action. That was a good way for me to move into the second part of the training swing. Once I complete that, I'll learn how to fold my right arm and get to the top of the backswing. There we go. So that time I created a type of swivel, the right type of counter swivel in there, that allowed me to get through that second stage of the training swing and then move on to the third stage, which was folding my right arm. I folded my right arm that time and there was 0 tension in my ah. Of course, the first couple times around, it may just happen by accident. You may not know exactly where you need to be. So you need to keep doing it. Maybe next time you'll put it a little lower, and then the next time a little higher, and eventually you'll identify that every time that your ah stays relaxed, your arm goes up in what we call the proper swing track for you. So I have a mid-track swing track. Ideally, that swing track is maybe a touch higher than the perfectly middle-of-the-road mid-track. But that's just what works for me. It allows me to get into a position where from there my right elbow can drop down in an under position and ensure that I keep my swing slotting in the right manner. If I'm too low in the backswing, then I'm going to find that my transition is going to want to go up, and it's going to want to throw me outside the slot that fits me. So again, I got to find that swing track that fits me to the top. I'm going to turn so that you can see it from the down the line view, so we can see what's happening here as well. So let's go ahead and get set up. So we can see at that time I created a backswing action that allowed me to maintain a proper ah as I got all the way to the top of the backswing. Alright, so if you want to learn how to ah, this is the process that you go through. Of course, I got to work it through the transition, into delivery, through release, exiting, and all the way to my finish. We can look at those features in another video. But right now, I just wanted you to get the basic idea of how you can work on it, in your training swing.